Call to order. Linda, if you'll lead us in the prayer, John and Philip.
Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here tonight. You have guided us through this meeting. Please put your healing hands on all of our friends and relatives in Texas. Know that our hearts are with them. Please watch over our communities. They travel back and forth for all the ball games. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Randy Rents,
Here.
Bo Barton, Melinda Ballard. Here. Baron Glass.
Here.
Maria Bass. Here. Gary Castles. Johnny Fallon. Here.
All right, next on the agenda is A, the executive committee report. Johnny, if you'll.
Okay, the check register checked out, good, and we are 3.3% above what we were in, last month, so we're doing good with the sales tax.
It's picking up here, so
Yeah.
which is good. Next go to B, we approve and review the minutes of the board meeting on June 12th, and the policy, this is executive committee on June 20th.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor? And next we have employee of the month, is Jamie Brady, or Rebecca, if you'll.
So it's my pleasure to recognize our employee for the month, Jamie Brady. As a first year, she was new not to the district but to my department here in the school board office this year. As a first year educational diagnostician, Jamie has gone above and beyond in every aspect of her role. From day one, she's approached her work with a positive attitude, a strong work ethic, and a genuine love for children. She's not only done her job, but she's elevated it. Jamie is incredibly organized, she's an arranger, and consistently meets all required deadlines for people appraisal, and that kind of reliability helps us keep things running really smoothly in our department. But what really sets Jamie apart is her willingness to help. She always is the first to say yes when support is needed. I said the other day, I don't think you've ever told me no, and I've asked you to do some really crazy things. But whether it's assisting a colleague, jumping in on a project, or simply being there when someone needs an extra hand, she works diligently this way, not only with us in the office, but also with all of our schools and school leaders. But while she does that, it's always with the students in the center of what she does. So we're very lucky to have her, and I'm very proud of you, Jamie. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Next, dress code. The policy committee met and gave their recommendations. And now all we need to do is approve the policy updates.
All I did was take the existing dress code. I took out all of the stuff about uniforms. In blue, you'll see the general requirements. We did go ahead and post those and share those so that parents could go ahead and start shopping and preparing for the school year. We just need to make it official.
So principals, you guys are okay, because Melinda, Maria, and Ms. John and I, we talked, and we were a little upset that some of the cell phone issues wasn't really conveyed to us the way that we felt that they should. So are you guys sure that this is what you want?
Okay, okay.
Okay, well, I'll put it in form of motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And Randy, if you don't mind, December, we can look at it and see where we at, and if we need to fine retune or whatever, that'll be okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would like to
Just-
get
just kinda
updates
update,
from
yeah.
the principals on how things are going.
Haley's not here, man, we'll write it down.
Next on the agenda is a job description for a new literacy mentor.
So with our, we've got a copy of the job description here, with our CLSD grant that we wrote and applied for, and I mentioned it at another meeting, we were approved for it. One of the requirements of the grant was that we had to agree that we would hire a literacy mentor. At Union Central, we are confident that we've got the structure in place with their instructional coach, and we thought at the junior high that we would be able to do some things differently with schedules, and it turns out the state said no, you have to have an actual person who's designated. So we had to come up with this job description, which is completely based on what our other literacy personnel do at the other schools, and it also includes the requirements from the state. So it is a 9-month teacher position, and it is only for the life of the grant, which is 4 more years. And so when the grant goes away, the position will go away. And it's strongly embedded in literacy, but also in supporting new teachers in literacy across all content areas at the junior high. So we just need your approval of the job description so that we can begin advertising.
I make a motion to approve the, job description. I'll second it.
All in Next, we have a resolution that we need to look at. The executive committee met, finance committee met over the course of several months to do different things, primarily about budget, but we started basically with this. Looking for a way to possibly give our support personnel a raise who are grossly underpaid. And this is basically what we came up with, what it came down to is this. And we worked, we talked it all out. There's been, like I said, several different meetings on this that we talked this out. And we came up with basically $1,000 one-time payment at the end of the year for our support staff employees. And David, if you would, is David here?
Yeah.
David, if you would just kind of run over this real quick, just to,
Okay. I think Randy pretty much took all the wind out of the sails here. There's not a whole lot extra on here to comment on. It is $1,000 at the end of the year. Is geared right at that same time. There were the 9-month people are getting out, 9.5-month people are getting out, but it also includes 12-month people. The one position I did leave out that I just now noticed was LPN. So that should be in here because that person's also a full-time support staff person. Basically, anybody that's not on a teacher scale is how that should read. So if I miss somebody else and their support staff, they will be counted. Any employee that is hired during the year will be prorated based off their calendar days. Anybody that leaves during the year gets 0. So there's no proration. Let's see. The fund overall is going to cost about $123,000. That's about $100,000 in salaries, plus $21,000 for retirement, about $1,500 for Medicare. Right now we got about an extra $90,000 in sales tax fund. So largely we're paying for it from the surplus that we have, plus a little bit of current year, fiscal year 26 earnings. And I think that's it. So anything else that needs to be changed or updated?
we do have one person that wants to speak on this, Landry Coates. We recognize you at this point. So.
Yeah, first off, I want to say this. My wife had no idea I was supposed to show up. I got two daughters that work in the school system. I've been to plenty of meetings. I support the school. I supported the tax years ago. I spoke to Nikki about it. I talked to you about sales tax and stuff before. I didn't know all this coming until she showed me the agenda and I seen it on there. I went and helped the guy and come back anyway. So kudos to everybody for thinking about the support staff. I've always said everyone's paid. You know what? Nikki ain't going nowhere. She ain't gonna quit and go somewhere. My wife ain't. None of the directors are. So think about the lower people that you do have problems keeping people. They're the ones that's quit. My wife is steady talking about custodians. She can't keep custodians. Teachers haven't dumped trash cans. That's the people that need the raises. The people that's quit. You know, why are they quitting? Money. You know, so give them the raise. I support it. But I gotta ask, where's the money? I mean, back there, but I thought so much. Teachers need a raise. I mean, we're lower in the state regarding that. So I'll just read it. So Gray don't have a meeting regarding raises, but I would like to know where the money is coming from. Is this coming from sales tax, which David just answered? That is already being used to pay all school employees. If so, this would mean that you're taking money from all employees to support this payout to support staff. So ask yourself, is this really fair? Rob and Peter to pay Paul. So you're basically taking the money that you would have paid out to them anyway and turning around, taking it from everybody and giving it to the support. So I've been vocal through the years with board members regarding raises, and nothing personal to anyone. The contracts are awarded with pay raises included, but no others in the system have gotten raises. But the raises should start at the bottom, because this is where the shortages are in keeping people. If this payout is from sales tax that will be paid out to employees anyway, then it is a slap in the face to everyone other than the support persons. It's like making it mandatory that all employees donate part of their sales tax pay to the support. So that's my, years and years ago, we voted for another 1% sales tax for a teacher's pay raise. And it was gonna go on, and her check from that year to the next went up $34. And I come talk to Nikki, she handled it very well, because it was basically misrepresented to the public, because it was, they even got teachers to call people. And it was stated that it was going for teacher pay raises, but it says salaries and benefits. So then, it's a small political world here, and it ain't no different from Washington DC, what we're doing. We're taxing the people, and then we're taking that money, what we were paying, and using it for something else. And okay, now we can use part of this for their retirement. Well, she should have got more than a $34 pay raise if the sales tax doubled the next year. So I'm all for the raises. I like money. Manage your money, you'll have money. That's my advice. But I don't think the sales tax should be Nikki, what other teachers in here? I seen Rebecca somewhere. I don't want to call my wife, but employees shouldn't be taking away their sales tax money to give to the support personnel. It should come from within. I mean, we're not managing our business right if we can't afford them to raise without taking it from the public that we voted in to give them a raise, and you're taking it back to give a certain group. That's my opinion. Don't hold it against my wife or my kids, but I'm fair. I can manage money, and I can come down here and show y'all how to save some money. I promise you. But do what you want to. I'm not sitting any longer. Y'all can vote on it, and I'm not.
Any other comments?
That's my opinion.
Hey, Larry, I was
Thank you,
talking
Landry,
to other
appreciate
people,
your input.
I
You
do
understand why
appreciate,
I'm
we
saying
do,
that?
we do.
And I don't understand if you got $90,000 surplus sales tax, wouldn't, for years and years, if you got a surplus, ain't that what that's supposed to be for the salaries and benefits that you dish it out to employees? And not just some of them? So, are we saying we're budgeting for X amount of sales tax per year to give out? Or are we taking what the parish is supporting and buying local and putting into the system and giving it everybody, you know. To me, that's what I thought the sales tax was for, from the school system, not to hold in a surplus.
Well, it's not held in the surplus, but what it is used for is used for, just like you said, it's used for salaries and benefits. And this is part of the support personnel salary, that's what this is. Now, the whole reason we got into this to begin with, I brought this up, several, 6, 7, 8 months ago. And, we started looking into it because we felt like our support personnel were grossly underpaid. We're not still
Always
like they're now granted, I don't believe teachers are overpaid either. I don't think they're paid what they're worth. I promise you that, I don't believe that. So my wife's an educator, believe me. But also, you know, the sales tax is to benefit all the employees in the school district, you know, and if we have one group that is grossly underpaid and one group that is underpaid, but I don't believe they're grossly underpaid, then I think it's something we can do if we have that, if we can use that to bring them up a little bit. And that was the whole idea at the very beginning of all this, was to try and get our support personnel, get them picked up a little bit more, you know, get them back on, you know, some kind of scale. But you know, this really doesn't do that much for them. I'd love to see them do, you know, a lot more. I would like to see them personally, me. I would like to see, and I don't want to get into this discussion, I would like to see the entire sales tax formula redone, but that ain't gonna happen. So I gave up on that a long time ago. But so that's not gonna happen. But but this is one way that we can help our support personnel. Just like you're saying, we can't keep support personnel, you know. So we've got to do something. And this is just this is a Band-Aid. This really, I'm sure, you know, they're out there listening. They're gonna think, well, golly, $1,000 ain't gonna do much for me, you know. And they're right. But it's all we can do. And we're just doing what we can do, is the way I look at it. And I appreciate what you're saying, man. I know exactly what
I'm
you're
gonna
saying.
ask you this then.
Huh?
Your daughter works in the school system.
Sure do.
So, Dave, is his daughter sales tax gonna decrease from what it normally is, or what it would have been? If this wasn't on the table tonight, is her sales tax gonna decrease if this passes? I mean, is her pay gonna decrease to support the support program?
In a theoretical sense, yes.
Is it yes or no?
Well, I just answered that. The goal that I've always tried to have done in the past 5 years is to keep the sales taxes, the 13th check, about the same. And largely they have been. And then we've also ended up with a surplus in other years that we were able to pay out a Christmas bonus. We paid out another bonus and another 90 years of bonus. That's not what I heard. But,
You know where the check she got?
sorry. I didn't.
I know the check she's got.
Okay. Well, I mean, some of that came out of sales tax, sometimes it came out of, we had one payment that came out of ESSER money. So, I mean, you know, there's been some ability to, if we held off, if we were able to give everyone the same level amount from year to year, we did that, and any carryover that we had, we brought it into the future year. And the school board has the prerogative to pay it out based on what they said, what incentive do they want to try to create to help employees. I mean, I totally understand your comment. I mean, I understand that.
It ain't about her check. I retired at 55, I ain't making much.
Okay.
I would never work again a day in my life with anybody else. So it's not about that. It's about the teachers wrong computer play card. It's wrong. I'm all for it, and I may have a bunch of haters out there, support personnel, for saying this, but it's wrong. If they was a teacher, they would want to bring home less money because they're basically it's taken out of their check to give to the support. You know, if you want to give a teacher a raise out of it, the support will be mad at the teacher, you know, vice versa. So it's not right, doing it that way.
I just wanna
There
say,
should be a different way to do it without penalizing, you're penalizing the teachers and anybody that ain't getting it, you're penalizing.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't think penalized. But
They
this
take a
is not
decrease in pay.
something that we took lightly at all. If we could give all of our teachers a raise, we would, no question. It wouldn't even be a discussion. But we have people that work in this district that maybe they're not in the classroom, you know, every day, but they are just as important.
I totally agree.
And so, knowing that and knowing that what they were getting for their pay, for whatever extra, we felt like this was something to help them, to help more. I'm just telling you my point of view on it. What David's saying, theoretically it would be less. They're not going to get less than what they got previously, but they're not going to get
What they should
too
have
little
coming
surplus.
What they should have coming to.
I get what you're saying, but I don't agree with cutting those support personnel out of the whole picture. I just don't.
I believe in fairness.
I do too, and that's why we felt
If
like
Nikki
this
gets
was
a raise
fair.
on her contract, then everybody will be awarded a raise. And Randy, you remember our conversation. And you voted for it. You told me, I can't see how we can if we can't give everybody a raise. Nikki, you're doing a great job, and I've got nothing against you. You're doing excellent. I'm not against you getting a raise. I'm against you getting a raise for not the support personnel. Your raise, if it wasn't $2 for the support personnel, should have been divided there. Well, that's the way I feel.
And I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong in anything. I'm just telling you how we felt about it. And we did
Have you
feel,
asked any
and
of
it
the
wasn't
teachers
easy.
how they felt? If they're willing to donate part of their sales tax to their health?
We've talked to administrators in the room, we've had 100 meetings on this to try to figure out how to help. And a lot of them would say, well, go ahead. Now, I don't know if Monica said it, so don't get on to her. But we have talked to different ones, and they said that they would take that little whatever cut to help with the support. You know, so we haven't talked to everybody, but we have talked to different ones, and we have racked our brains on 100 different ways to try to do this.
And nothing's gonna be perfect. There will be no perfect scenario that's gonna make everyone happy at all coming from this, but I felt like it was the least we could do for these employees that are so
Can you not give
important.
them a permanent raise? Because I know this board talks about the state giving them a stipend of $2,000 and $1,000, and they say, why don't they give us a raise? They give them a stipend. We're not giving them a raise, that don't affect nobody's.
We talked about a
So
raise,
explain
and we
about-
discussed the raise, and
I'm all for
that was part of the discussion, was a raise, and that's what we originally, one of the things we talked about. But after discussing all that, we felt like it would probably, the raise would be so minimal a month, that we felt like they would probably benefit better if we gave them a one-time payment, rather than basically giving them, you know, $80 a month, you know.
If
Give them a
that.
one-time payment, and felt like maybe they'd be able to use that better than seeing just an $80 raise a month. We talked about it.
With $1,000
And that's where we came up.
With $1,000 is like a stipend, basically, it's a one-time payout. It will become standard from now on, like the state will do. I mean, it'll be up to y'all every year, because they'll be looking for that thing.
But also the
And
state,
so why not just give them a raise to start with?
the state can say, hey, you have to give this
Right. I know all
$1,000
the time.
stipend, but
The state don't
the
give it to
state
us.
doesn't pay for that.
Right.
So then,
We have to come up with it.
yeah,
And we
And I
can't
don't-
not give it. So what do you
right,
think?
well, and then so we're cutting more into general fund.
And that's what caused us to be in the hole.
That's one of the many reasons, yes.
we don't have as
I
many
have $7 million
students, and there's a lot of
I consider
things.
myself being in the hole,
How much?
7 million or something.
Closer to six.
So Landry, are you kind of, I guess, insinuating that you would like to see the $1,000 raise to support workers? I'm trying to get what you're saying.
I would rather have a raise because the grossly underpaid, as Randy said, I agree with that. If I was hired on as I don't know what the word is nowadays, janitor, custodian, whatever. If I was hired on that position, I would rather know my yearly salary is this versus I might get a bonus. I'd rather, and because they're not hired on, because they look at, when they come down here and fill out an application, what is this job pay? They're looking at this number.
Right.
They don't count that $1,000 because it's not there. You know, it's
But
a bonus.
what we're doing right now is, what we're trying to do right now is give them something for this coming year, not this month, not next month, but in May of 2026. And if later on, that we feel like we can make this into a permanent raise, a monthly raise, or however, they feel like, would be a better way to do it, then possibly we can do that. And we appreciate your input, Landry, but we need to go ahead and vote on it.
Dave, one other question. When is the last time support workers had a raise? You know?
Whenever the state gave a pay raise, a true pay raise, which was probably 3 years ago, I'm thinking, there was also an additional bump out of sales tax that kind of mirrored that.
When is the last time the school board had a raise?
So I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's pretty what you're getting. So I think,
Thank you.
not that we're discounting what he's saying, but I think we need to carefully consider what he's saying because he's actually right.
I agree.
And I think the hard part is always getting to where we can get to with regards to the money that's there. So Landry, I concur with everything that you're saying. I think the board is, and I'm thinking that that's something that we can look at the appropriate time. And I think Brandon would welcome you to be at that meeting because guidance is always needed from the outside. And I think, I appreciate you, you coming, but I think Monica's probably ready for you to get out of here.
I could care less about reading a book,
Right.
if it involves money,
Right.
man.
Well, we're classmates, so I know, but I appreciate it. It's very valuable.
It is.
Very, and please don't think, and I'm speaking for them, that they're
Yes.
cutting you down because they're not.
No,
I promise you.
these are all questions they
She
labored
won't hear
over.
my opinion, and I tell her how it ought to be, and we argue all the time, and I stay out of it. I've always told her.
This way the Landry in school though.
I got
What
this,
happened?
I got misled on that sales tax, and I said I'd stand up for it from then on.
Oh, yeah, and that's
And,
good,
and that's good, that's great,
very good.
I just want you to know, it wasn't something that we took lightly. I mean,
No,
it
it's
is,
Well, I totally understand, it's a hard decision, and, if you ain't got the money to give them a raise, you're looking for something, so I commend you on that, 100%. But I think we're going about it an easy way instead of tackling, look at some alternatives. Let's, if it was your household income, you'd buckle down and come up with money, You'd cut something somewhere or another, because I don't like to say this out loud, but from my aspect, or from my opinion, I can see a lot of waste, and I could do better with it. But I'm not David's job, and I'm not criticizing you, because you're not gonna spend it. You just manage what you do.
So Monica, you agree or disagree? Come on, Randy, let's go.
Thank you all for
thank
Thank you,
you,
ma'am.
Landry.
All right, so the resolution before us is $1,000 full-time support for staff employees. Payout is expected on May 29th of 2026.
May 29th, 2026.
Get a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh-huh.
We need to do wrong.
It does, it has a.
Yeah, we do need to do a roll call.
You got it.
Yeah, let me get my resolution out so I can read it. Okay, Maria, you made the motion, Ms. Johnny made the second. All right, Mr. Randy?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Barton is absent. Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Ms. Bass?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon?
Yes.
And Mr. Castles is absent.
Next on the agenda is, our leap results, which I feel like most people in this room have heard. And, I'm sure we're gonna see something over here in just a little bit.
Melinda, would you shut that door just
Just a little bit, okay.
Thank you so much.
Chrissy.
Do you wanna start since you got the phone call?
Okay. So, yeah, so scores, unexpectedly arrived on Monday, July
Yeah, 'cause I was at home.
first, yeah. Had no idea, when all of a sudden checking email and was like, what? Okay, so, principals began going through and looking at and, you know, I of course started working on a chart and it is color coded. Because I like to see, and so we just wanted to share that information. Of course, as you look through here, you'll see lots of green, and green means growth, means good. So I knew it was gonna be good and exciting, but then when I got back to work on Tuesday, I think, got a call from the state superintendent on my cell phone, and I was like, And so when I answered it, he was like, hey, Ms. McGann, and anyway, he was congratulating us on our growth. So I was like, this has gotta be good. If I'm getting a call from the state superintendent, of course, I had no idea how good until we had the press release on Thursday and learned that, we were, the top performing district in the state as far as our growth in the Master and Advanced category. A total growth of 4 points. We tied with East Carroll, and so we were just so proud to be on that list, but even prouder to be at the top of it. So I'll let Christy kind of talk about those results.
Okay. So when we look at scores, and you can kind of see on your chart that you have, we look at it in 2 ways. Of course, the state's goal is mastery, because that's what we're headed to. Is mastery, so that's mastery advanced. But we also look at proficiency, because in the accountability model, that this last one that we'll have, proficiency was basic, and we still got a few points for basic. And at the high school level, which will be further down, you remember they can pass with approaching basic. They can graduate if they score approaching basic. So just looking, we had a lot of growth in the mastery. But even if you look across grades, like these 3rd graders, when they move to 4th grade, of course it's not going to be every student's exact, but the core is going to be the same. So you're going to see that across the board. They all grew. Some of them grew a lot from grade to grade. So there's a lot of growth there. And we did each subject. So that was English. This is math. Still, as you move from one to the other, you're going to see that one came down, but there's growth just about in every grade as they move up. And then the same thing in science. There's a lot of growth there. So we had a lot of growth in our students that are scoring mastery. And of course, this is raw data. When we actually go to figuring out school performance score, you have to take the kids out that weren't here an entire year. There's some kids you take out. And of course, you know, when you're putting it in the calculator, you're putting all kids, so even the kids that scored approaching basic and unsat, so it changes that. But we're really proud of the growth we had with mastery, because that's the goal, that's where we're headed. And we've been doing a lot of work with that. When you're looking at the high school, proficiency is basic and above. Mastery, of course, is master advanced. But we also do our passage rate, because like I said, for a high school student to graduate from high school, they just have to score approaching basic or higher. So our passage rate went up in everything except geometry, and there were some reasons for that.
So, I should have asked you this ahead of time, but did we test every kid geometry this year?
Yes,
And we have not been
we
doing
have
that.
not been doing
So
that.
so before this year, we only tested
University
students. This year, they made us go back and start testing every kid.
Right.
So I think that's probably.
Right, with the class that were sophomores that took geometry, it started with their class that everybody has to take geometry again, whereas before the career students, the Jumpstart students didn't have to. They can take applied geometry, but they still have to take the geometry EOC at the end of the year. So that's why you're gonna see that drop there. And then when looking at the mastery summary, these are the percentages of students that scored mastery, or above. Columbia State, they didn't change. Union Central grew, 2%. The junior high grew 5, the high school grew 2. And as a district, 3 through 8, so just 3rd grade through 8th grade, we grew 3. And then when you put it all together, 3 through high school, we grew 4. And we have an asterisk there because we outgrew the state. The state, when you looked at theirs, their 3 to 8, the state as a whole only grew 1%, and they stayed the same in the 3 through 12. So we outpaced the state in that one. And then when you look at your subgroups, all of our subgroups grew. Total population, 3 through 8 grew 4, 3 through 12 grew 6. African American, they grew 9, 3 through 12, 7. And one thing to point out there is in just about all of these, because when I look back at 24, on just about all of these, we were in the negative. We were like a -2, a -1, or we may have been a 0 where we stayed the same, or a 1. So this is a tremendous amount of growth in our subgroups. White students grew 8 and 6. Economically disadvantaged grew 6 and 3. Not economically disadvantaged grew 3 and 4. That kind of matched with what the overall district was. And then students with disabilities grew 7 and 5. And Rebecca, you may want to mention that because I know they were like -5 last year.
That's what I just leaned over and said. Last year we were -5, and so even no matter which way you dice that, we outpaced the state in that subgroup also as far as our growth with students with disabilities, not just coming out of the negative, but just general growth. And what I said to you principals today was what I think it says a lot about is there were other school systems in that top 10 with us where not every subgroup grew. And when you look at this data, I think it really speaks a lot to that we've been very intentional about every kid here. And that takes a lot of hard work, and it takes every single person in the building. So that's, that was really gratifying. And and the state, as much as we've complained about having to go to all these meetings because of our test scores, they did it. I'll say something positive about LDOE on the broadcast. I also got a phone call, and I think, was it Katie that got the math phone call?
Yes.
Yeah. So, they have been really good about, we're so proud of y'all, so, at least I can say that.
So we're really proud of the mastery growth, because that is our goal, and we're hoping with SPS, because of all of the growth, we're gonna see points in that growth category that goes into school performance score, that we will see a good bit of growth in there. Okay.
So I just want to call out with this, we have really pushed teachers, administrators, parents, students so hard out of comfort zones over the past couple of years, and it just makes me so proud of, I'm not gonna cry, so proud of the work that's being done, because when you push and you do things different outside the box, people tend to kind of resist, and when people see and they buy in, when you see it like this, then it just makes people want to do even more. And of course these subgroups, this has been a push since we started writing the district strategic plan, is that we want to make sure that no one covers up anything that needs to be exposed. We've got to look at data from every single angle. Every kid matters, no matter where they come from, what their, environment is like, or what their disability may or may not be. Every kid matters. And when you see green in every single one of those subgroups, you know that you've got a system who's bought into every single kid matters. So proud.
Absolutely. It is a lot of hard work.
It is a lot of work.
Thank y'all.
And I commend all of you, because last year at this time, we were all very,
What
we
did
were
we
just
do?
disheartened. And obviously, you put in a lot of work, and congratulations.
Yes.
you know.
Well, it took a year for it to all settle down, and then when it all got settled, y'all said, we're gonna fix this, and y'all did. Y'all fixed it.
At every level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all fixed it.
At every level. And like Chrissy said, we don't know what it's gonna look like when the letter grades come out, because the math on that may or may not be different. But to know that the state is pushing us towards mastery, and they're pushing us towards every subgroup, and this is where we are, that gives us a lot of confidence in the trajectory that we're on, so.
You're doing a good job.
You were the one that was so mad last year.
I wasn't mad, I'm pointing out, I'm not happy right now, but I'm glad to see it, because remember, stuff fluctuates, so I'm not convinced that this is a all fixed problem, but I am proud of what we're doing, and I congratulate everybody. But if y'all notice, Maria started out not talking, but now that's all she does is talk. So I don't need to talk no more. I'm working on Melinda next.
Well, good, with that, we'll move forward to the financial update.
I don't have anything really to talk about. We're still in the process of closing out June and rolling forward, and all seems to be going pretty good. Not talking about the numbers itself, I'm just talking about the closing and the process. So don't read anything into that. We're gonna be as bad as what I predicted. So, which will set us up for next year with great success. So, anyway, that's all I got.
Chrissy, you got anything else? Oh, y'all, I will. You
I
have
have
to
a
talk.
headache.
She has a headache. So, this new accountability system with the Career Tech Ed bundles has been impossible. But we have a warrior on our team who goes to fight for us every chance she gets, and, thank you for that, you may wanna say.
Well, we had to submit bundles, so as Region 8, with CTE supervisors got together and submitted bundles that we felt our region needed. And we started this in December, we submitted them in February, it went before the IBC Council in the end of May and was deferred. It went before another IBC Council and was deferred. Well, no, it got accepted at that one, and then we went before the Workforce Investment Council and they deferred it. Then we went with Region 6 and created something that we thought they liked. We went to another IBC Council meeting and got deferred. Then we got a State Department employee that was supposed to be our mentor to help us fix it. And I went before WIC today, not WIC, but the IBC Council this morning, and they've accepted them, and it goes before WIC next week. So we'll see if they defer it, or deny it, or accept it, or we'll see what we have to work with since school starts in, what, 4 weeks?
And this impacts kids.
This year's just
Yes.
26 graduates, and we still don't know what we've got to work with, so, for that component of the accountability.
And this is where Lafayette said they were gonna make their own grade scale because they didn't like what state was doing.
It's just the no longer are your credentials good enough. You have to have a bundle of all these credentials, and trying to put those together and match it with what Workforce actually wants is a challenge, because Workforce is saying this is what we want. We're saying this is what we want. We meet every month at the Workforce Development Board to talk
And I
about
told
these
them
things,
that, too.
and it still doesn't matter.
And they can't grasp what Northeast Louisiana needs based on what they know South Louisiana
Yeah, I was
needs.
gonna
Yeah.
say,
They
Baton
can't-
Rouge
they
doesn't
can't-
yeah,
need
They can't
what
get
we
that in their
need,
brain.
so,
Or the access and opportunities that we have compared to South Louisiana, so.
So it's been bad.
It's frustrating.
Thank you for your hard work.
yes, absolutely.
James?
What about me? I got to
I think it's the other way around.
Transportation Department, we're getting all of our buses ready to roll out in 3 weeks, August the 2nd, so we're working on that hard. Maintenance, we're working steadily in the buildings, getting lights, plumbing, electrical, ACs 10 to 2. We've done some parking lot patchwork over at Union Central, got some sidewalks going up to the auditorium. Miss Russell, we're steadily working on freezers and coolers for her, so we're trying to get everything ready to go for beginning of the school year.
How are we on bus drivers?
Still down 2.
Jimbo included in that too, because he told me they, okay.
We got our, new buses. Well, they're not new.
Well, they're the lease buses, yes, we still have those, and, we just got, our paperwork for the, extra sped, bus that we require, asked for.
The bridge that they're showing on Facebook, is that the one that's been out that's cost us so much to go around? Oh, good, they got that fixed and.
Well, almost. They got to put the old guardrails up, I think.
Yeah. Have you
Kelly-
seen?
Kelly
506.
Bridge.
Kelly.
506.
Oh, no, I haven't been down there yet.
Yeah.
506.
And then the other thing, I did get all the track surface up, and I was just waiting on the company to schedule us to come in and install it.
Kudos to James and his team for getting that track up.
Definitely for getting that up. That was quite a job, I'm sure.
They wanted to charge us $15,000 to do that. I hired James instead. All right, Mike.
Last week, Brian and I had the opportunity, thanks to Ms. Wiley, to go to the National Technology Conference for Education. Wonderful opportunity, lots of information, and we're still processing what we learned, what we've known from what we knew. So we're working on all that, and it'll be coming up in the next month. But right now, we're frantically trying to make sure teachers are ready to get back in the classroom with technology.
Mike, I heard the, football coach said it yesterday, something about he didn't have internet or something like that.
That
Can
is
you
part
kind
of
of
what
check into
we're
that?
frantically working on. It's been a patchwork the last couple of years, and I'm working on a grant this year with our E-rate grant to run fiber out there that'll make it more permanent. We got 3 outbuilding locations, and if we couldn't afford it when we did the rest of the fiber, but if we can run fiber with this bunch of E-rate money, that'll settle up, and we'll have good network coverage at every building we have.
Yeah, we had another really great summer program. I don't know if you guys saw our little news spotlight on KNOE. So we're going to continue to have pop-ups through the rest of the summer, just because we don't want our kids to lose any skills before our real hard launch when school starts back. I am impressed every single day when I go down there about how much our students have learned. I never anticipated that it would have as quick of an impact as what it has on them. We had some PD today with principals from somebody from LEOE about some sped changes that are really supposed to rock everybody's world in the state. And I think what I mostly heard from everybody was, we're doing most of this, and we're excited about the 2 or 3 things that they're gonna let us tweak. So I'm really proud of our staff for just being excited to embrace change and all the work that we've already done knowing this is coming. Because in a lot of school districts, I hear it's been a real tough transition with this new kind of shift in policy. So I'm really proud of our school leaders.
We've got a big event coming up. Of course, we're still registering kids for pre-K, and what the state is now calling EPK. So we have a new name for our 2-year-olds. We have an event on August 4th, and I'll make sure y'all we've been working on some little flyers. It's gonna have a sports theme, because what we've done the past 2 years for our early childhood team is a signing day, like signing on with Team Caldwell. So we're gonna stick with that theme. Waterford, who is someone we use for our literacy, is coming in to do a lot of work. Lakeshore is sponsored to do good things. All of the daycare, the library, LSU Ag, the WIC office, some different people will be there set up for parents to get information. It's also the 30th year that we've offered pre-K in Caldwell Parish, so we're gonna make a big deal out of that. Waterford has worked up a news release. They'll go out soon. They're working with KNOE to come down and do some coverage. So what we're doing is we're going to have a reception at 2 o'clock that y'all will be invited to. You're welcome to stay for the event, which is 3 to 5. But I told Ms. McCann what I'm going to try to do, and I haven't talked to these ladies yet, but Ms. Clary Skinny, Ms. Imogen Richardson, some of those people who were around when they started pre-K in 95, which we want to invite them to come. Just be a part of it. Ms. Wiley, some of the people that's been there from the ground up. So we're hoping to make it a August the 4th. It's the Monday before PD starts on the 7th, Tuesday. But I'll make sure y'all get a flyer and invitation. We should have them ready to go out next week, but we all have it on your calendar today. But yeah, we would love for all y'all to be there.
It's kind of quiet in my program right now, so the one month, other than like Coach Wells said, just kind of getting things going. Right now, I'm fully staffed, so, hopefully I won't get any surprises between now and, the beginning of school, but anyway, it's, everything's good.
And
Alright, so, just know that, we have our August professional development, and you can receive your hours. Kelly always turns those in. We have, August the 5th will be teachers only, and we'll get that scheduled too if there's any sessions that you wanna go, because a lot of it is very aligned to the work, I mean, all of it is aligned to the work that we're doing to try to raise our test scores. And then August the 6th is when all faculty will be there. That'll be our guest speaker. Robert Jackson's coming back to do our engagement that morning, and then John Geis will give his, that, right after that. And then, of course, we'll have some breakouts in the afternoon and then come back together at the end of the day. And so I wanted to remind you about that. Did want to let you know, in your packet, you have, just an update of the Educational Facilities Improvement District. They held their first official meeting today at 5 o'clock, where they appointed officers and adopted the bylaws, and then announced their intent to consider calling the 1-cent sales tax election. And so, in addition to that, we met last week with administrators and coaches and sponsors to begin having conversations about what this money could possibly be used for, and really just encouraging them to give us feedback on what do your programs need, what do your athletics, what do your extracurricular, so anything outside of what our normal funding. And one of the things I talked to them about is, you know, we receive grants for literacy and math and science and social studies. We receive grants for CTE. We do not receive any money for anything else extra. So not for our band, not for our choir, or for our speech squad, and our athletics and robotics, all those things, art. And so this would be a funding mechanism for those experiences for our students. I'm also have requested to be on the Chamber of Commerce agenda for July 21st to begin the outreach with the community. And so I've included in this little packet here the letter that is going out to the community, and a letter that is going out to families and staff members with the QR code there for them to put their, give us their impact, their input, so that from what the community and the parents all think we have, we'll put together a prioritized list of the projects that we would be able to do. And then there's an FAQ there too, just so that if there's any questions about what this is and what it's used for, then that's something that can be shared. So I wanted to make sure y'all have that update. Another initiative that I want to make sure you're aware of is the state is really going to focus on attendance during this next school year. And so it's coming from every angle. It's coming from LDOE, it's coming from the judiciary branch, and the DAs. Everybody's trying to get Barron's been to meetings with Fins. Everybody's trying to really work together to address the truancy issues across the state. And so Angela is going to be reporting to the board on a periodic basis. And so I just want to give you kind of a little bit of what we're going to be doing. So each school is going to have a plan with clear steps. And we're going to then have attendance teams so that we're tracking attendance patterns, identifying students at risk, and then providing early support to make sure we can get our kids back into the classroom, make sure that we work with families and they're clearly communicated so there's no surprises. And like I said again, Angela will be reporting on a periodic basis to give you updates as a board. One big thing that we've had discussions about, and Barron, feel free to hop in at any time, is addressing truancy, which are your kids who are coming to school that are with unexcused absences. So there's the ramifications there, but then we also have an issue with chronic absenteeism. And so those are students who miss 10% or more of the school year, even with excuses. And so every day that you miss in a classroom is a day of instruction that you've missed. And so we want to do a better job of educating parents and educating our community from our littles. If you're not at school receiving that literacy instruction and that literacy intervention every day, you're not going to be able to read as fluently as you could if you were there. And I know that our literacy people can attest that the students who may not be making benchmark, a lot of times have chronic absenteeism or truancy issues too, because they're not there to receive that instruction. When you move on to the high school level, you're earning Carnegie credits. And so if you're not in that seat time and earning enough minutes to pass that course, then you're not going to be able to pass that course, and you have to take seat time recovery and may not be able to graduate on time. So we just want to do a better job about making sure we address those issues, and so it's one of our priorities as a district and as a state. And so I want to make sure that you're aware and that everyone's aware that we're going to address that this year. We have substitute training on August the 5th at 12 o'clock, so we're always in need of substitutes. We're still trying to hire teachers, and so some of the positions I know that we need, Grayson still needs a kindergarten teacher, kindergarten sped teacher, high school's looking for algebra 1 and geometry. Junior high has a literacy mentor that we just opened, or just approved today. Kelly needs a custodian, and her Jane said 2 bus drivers. So those are some of the positions we have, and so just trying to make it all come together and finish that up. Also wanted to announce that we do have our new Superintendent Teacher Advisory Council that to thank you for those of you who gave input on that. And so I'm excited about meeting with them this month. I believe our first meeting is July 16th. But, a lot of good comes out of that advisory council, and so we'll be posting those names, but representation from each school, so. That's all I have.
Any comments from the board?
Mr. President, I don't know if we need to deal with this in an executive session or not, so it's an administrative matter, so, since the individual's not here, I'm gonna request that we go to executive session. Briefly.
We need a call vote and, go into executive. Call vote.
I'm gonna make a motion to go to executive session.
You made the motion, and you're seconding it, okay. All right, y'all ready? All right, roll call. Randy Ricks,
Yes.
Ms. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Bax,
Yes.
Mr. Glass.
I'll be-
Well, Lauren and David, I
Okay.
think, but who
Yeah, I
cares?
think it's still in there.
I'm joking. Lauren don't work here anymore.
We can't do anything until he gets sit back on and then we'll sit down. Motion to adjourn. Or any other board comments and then a motion.
I think your motion is second to go back in the
Oh.
normal.
Okay.
Oh,
Who motioned?
Mayor, then Mayor.
Okay, okay.